Hey, fellow traveler, welcome to Third Eye Awakening. This is a podcast all about spiritual and psychic awakening, where we talk about things like the shift from 3D to 5D consciousness, the nature of time, space, the universe, the multiverse, multidimensionality, starseeds, the Akashic records, all the things. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I appreciate you so very much. All right, let's get into it. Hey, beautiful beings. Welcome back for another episode of Third Eye Awakening. I am your host, Amy Belair. Before we get started, if you want to creep me on Instagram, you can check me out at thenorthstar.love. And if you like what we're talking about here on the podcast and you'd like to be part of an interactive community, then come join my free private Facebook group called Soul Space. Just send me a request and I'll add you. I would love to have you there. So today I was going to, yesterday, I was going to publish the follow-up to Killian's death and talk about the ways that my experience with him totally propelled me into a whole new level of spiritual and psychic awakening. But I have to just hold off on that one, and I have to talk about what's going on around the world right now with the coronavirus, because I'm just receiving all the channelings. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I've got for you today. But before I get into it, I want to let you know a few things. The first is that because it's the first day of spring and I'm so excited, and because Mercury retrograde is over and in 3 days the shadow is over, and I'm so excited about that, and because we're going through some insane stuff right now in the world, some really, really intense things, I have decided to offer several things. The first being, I'm offering 30-minute readings at $55. And this was my plan before coronavirus even really started to move around the world. I was just so pumped for spring and so pumped for the end of Mercury retrograde that I was already going to launch this little sale until today's March 20th. Just checking my calendar. Until April 4th is when I will do readings, 30-minute readings for $55 or 45-minute readings for $77. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. So if you are interested, then I don't think I've updated my calendar on my website recently. I'll get around to that. But if you are interested, you would like to book in, then just send me a message on Instagram or here on Anchor or on Facebook. The next thing is that I've still got my new multidimensional starseed readings on offer at $77 for a 45-minute reading. They have been very fun so far, super exciting. I can't even get over how apropos they are at this time with what's going on in the world. And so that's at $77 for the first 100 bookings. And then after that, I will most likely raise the price. So that's on offer. And something that I'm super excited about is that I'm going to release my first program starting on April 4th. I'm so excited about it. I'm so nervous about it, but I'm so excited. It is a channeled program. All of it has come through me. It is not of my own creation. And I can't even call it a program. It's a journey. That's what it is. It's not the words course and program don't fit it properly at all. It's really a journey, and it's called Magic Awakening. And it is to help help guide people through the awakening of their magic, and to be able to move through all the layers that we have that are obscuring our magic. And I'm super excited about that. More details will come. Stay tuned. I'll probably be rolling out the details mostly on Instagram and Facebook. So if you are wanting more information, then you can always message me, but you can also watch my social media for more information. And that's that for those announcements. All right, here we go. I'm going to channel a whole bunch of stuff about what's going on right now. Hi, beautiful friends. Wow. Well, we are going through some shit, aren't we? This is a very, very intense time. And I feel like today I am getting all of the channeled information, and I'm supposed to share it everywhere, and yet I'm at home with my sweet daughter, and it's 3:13 p.m. and my podcast was supposed to get recorded or released yesterday, and here I am a day late, and it's already almost dinner time, and I'm finally being able to sit down and start recording something. So there's so much here waiting to come through. I hope I do a good job at articulating it. As always, I'm beyond thankful that you're here with me in this episode, and more importantly, that you're here with us on Earth. Oh, okay. Here I go. Number one, or first and foremost, I suppose, we are now in a period that has been foreseen and foretold by many, 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 many people. You might have felt it coming yourself. This is it's not really the beginning of the great shift, but this is the beginning of the quantum shift. And what do I mean by quantum? It kind of annoys me when that word gets thrown around a bunch. But what it really means is like, it's like going from the bottom of the staircase to the top of the staircase in one step, and bypassing all the incremental steps along the way. And we are doing this collectively, and obviously we are doing this individually. This is a really unprecedented, incredibly potent and fortuitous time in human history, but right now it feels so scary. The beings I'm in contact with, well, I don't know. The beings who share insights with me, whoever they are, it doesn't really matter. I can tell it's a mix between my own guides and beings from other, I guess I could call them galactic beings, but beings who are from other worlds and are, witnessing what is going on Earth and are able to give panned out perspectives. The things that they are sharing with me is that right now, the panic and the fear around coronavirus, this particular coronavirus, COVID-19, is the more virulent aspect. It is more contagious, and it is has more potential to be destructive overall than the coronavirus itself. And that isn't to negate the death toll and the number of people that have acquired coronavirus and have become sick, never mind the secondary death toll and casualties in places where the taxation of coronavirus on the healthcare system means that people who, are requiring medical attention for other things, not the infection itself, are unable to access it, and they are suffering. So it's not to negate, this isn't to negate that very real aspect of what's going on, but I'm being told clearly that the fear and the panic, when it is allowed to dominate and run rampant, has more potential for destruction. And the fear is not, it is so normal to be afraid. Pardon me. It is so normal to be afraid. Yesterday, I was quite afraid. I was feeling really under the weather. Today's the first day that I'm feeling great and in my normal health, but for about 2 weeks, I've had a sore throat, and for about a week, I'd had, like a cough, a dry cough. And although I live in a low-risk area where there are confirmed cases, but I live in a sparsely populated rural area, so the transmission rate obviously would be lower if we're thinking in linear terms. And I honestly have no idea where I would have gotten it. Yesterday I was feeling pretty sick and really low energy, and when you're feeling that way, then the fear, you are able to access your fear more clearly, and not only your own fear but other people's fear and the collective fear. And yesterday I was feeling, I wouldn't say I was panicking, not even close. I haven't panicked at all since this started, but I was feeling the fear. And so it is extremely normal, and it is part of the process. And what I am being told is that the fear is not only around the virus, the current virus that's going around, the coronavirus. It is obviously also around the fact that everyone can feel that we are on the verge of a huge change within humanity on Earth. And we are built to fear the unknown. That has been our chief survival mechanism for, well, I can't say for how long. I don't know if it was that way at the very, very beginning, but for a very long time, that has been our chief survival mechanism. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Croods, but it's a great illustration of how staying within the realm of predictability has been our best defense for a long time, but that it limits us tremendously. Anyway, so collectively we are fearing the virus. We are also fearing the uncertainty, the inability to predict what it is going to look like on the other side of this, and that we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know if it's just going to pass over and, just happen in this one wave, or if there will be several waves. Nobody can forecast anything right now with any kind of accuracy. And I am receiving different probable timelines of kind of outcomes of what to expect throughout this year. But even, I'm not ready to share them yet, because I have so much to say right now. But even that, like all of the predictions, no matter who they come from, whether it's an intuitive person or if it's coming from like an economic forecaster or an epidemiologist or whoever, they all have to be taken with a grain of salt. And that scares everybody too. And then beneath that is where it gets really interesting for me, because I am receiving the insight that we are being collectively triggered around a lot of our dormant fears that we need to release. It's like a purge. This is a big purge, because really the big shift from 3D to 5D consciousness is happening. The large scale awakening has begun. So what I mean by that is that we are currently being triggered. It's like we have PTSD, and it's been sort of running the show, but like low key for a long time. And we've learned how to just cope with it and carry on with life. And right now we are having it triggered in a way that it comes right to the surface. And our job is to transmute it. And so we have PTSD around World Wars I and II, around the Spanish flu, around measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, pertussis, smallpox, polio, around all of the waves of the bubonic plague. Yeah, we have a lot of fear that's being triggered. I'm also just receiving that we are being triggered collectively around the whole world. We are being triggered over the history of colonization. And sometimes as Caucasian people, we can feel like we are the colonizers, because in a lot of ways we are the descendants who are carrying out the legacy of colonization. But colonization goes very far back and affects most of the world. The Roman Empire was a colonizing empire, and it had very far reaches. And I could go down a huge rabbit hole. I'm going to really try to keep it tight here. I don't know if that's ever been my strong point, but whatever. I'm going to try. So we are having really, really significant collective fears being triggered all at once right now, all at once. And so it's not just the fear of the virus, and it's not just the fear of the unknown. It's the fear from our unhealed past. And like I said, all of this is coming up because we cannot carry it forward with us. It needs to stay behind. It's not even that it needs to stay behind. It needs to be looked at, loved, forgiven, transmuted, and integrated. And then it will also be brought forward with us into 5D consciousness. So that's what we're here to do. I'm calling this episode Calling All Starseeds because my beautiful brothers and sisters and kin, it is time now. It is our time. As soon as I figured out what was going on, and I was a little late on it, I'm not going to lie. My partner Alex has been telling me, giving me updates about coronavirus for, I don't know, probably a month, maybe more. And it's just been annoying me because it's like he was kind of sharing them with me from a sort of low vibe, apocalypse scenario, Walking Dead, kind of we need to prepare. It just, it brought out that side of him, and I just was not in the mood for that kind of each one for themselves survival paradigm stuff. And so I kept sort of dismissing it. But when my provincial government mandated 2 extra weeks off on top of the March break, that for some reason that was the thing that triggered my remembering or my realization that, oh, it's here. This is what this is. And as soon as I remembered, it's like I realized that it's time for me to stop all of my bullshit and release all of my imaginary limiting beliefs, everything that's been holding me back, and really show up in the right words that keep coming through is like in my light leadership. I am a light leader, and so are you. If you are listening to this, then you are a light leader. I'm quite certain that you are a starseed, but those labels, you choose the labels that work for you and the descriptions that work for you. And if they don't quite fit, then don't take me as any authority. But know that if you are at the vibration where you are listening to this podcast episode, then I'm talking to you, and you are here for this moment. This is why we came. This is why all of us came to be alive right now. It's very important that we step into our power. That doesn't mean that you need to go on social media or if you still feel like it's not for you to be seen on a large scale, that's okay. But we are the ones that need to vibrationally lead this situation with our level of consciousness. I started to receive these insights on my own before I had tuned into anyone else's insights. And beautiful Jenny in my Facebook group Soul Space shared some links to a post that I made about coronavirus. And when I read them, I was like, oh yes, we're all receiving the same insights. There are slight variations to them because everybody is unique and everybody is a human with a human psyche and is having to translate the information that we're intuitively receiving through the experiences that are banked in our psyche and the symbols that are banked in our psyche. So there will be some variations, but the greater messages that have been coming through have been so clear and so similar. It's amazing. I knew this was coming and I didn't know what it was going to look like. And now that it's here, I am so thankful that it is happening in this way. If you think about it, this is one of the gentlest possible ways that this could be happening. That we could be experiencing an enforced pause like this globally that is affecting everyone in the world. A pause of uncertainty as the matrix of our artificial constructs that we have created to function by, as they fall away. And we are experiencing this enforced resting period, this enforced pause to allow us to recalibrate to the rhythms of the earth and nature that exist underneath that false matrix we've created. Experiencing a virus that is most often fairly mild, but is contagious enough and has the potential of like a higher death rate than we are accustomed to from viruses at this time, enough that it has created this pause. That's the gentlest way that we can be experiencing this. It's hard for me to think of a gentler way. in order for something to change, and we have been crying out for this change collectively, even the people who are deeply enmeshed in the artificial 3D matrix. The artificial matrix. I don't mean the 3D matrix that exists because we are in 3D, the beauty of the earth. I mean the one that we have created in order to control nature and dominate the planet. Even those who are deeply invested in and enmeshed in that matrix, an aspect of them has also been crying out for this change because it is unsustainable, and pretty much everybody agrees at this point. The majority of people see that and agree. And in order to have a big global change like this, it could have come about in much more traumatizing ways. I'm thinking specifically of wars, but rather, because it is a virus and it affects all of us, it is creating an opportunity for us to remember that we are truly a family and we are all in this together. We are all in this together. Our borders and our separations are illusions of our own creation. Our differences are beautiful, and they are only surface level. Beneath our cultural differences, our genetic variations, we are one being. We are all in this together, one family, one being, and we are all facing the same, I wanted to say enemy, but that's not the right word. It isn't. This is a gift. This is here for us. I heard another content creator say the other day that, you know, there are people who are dying. He was acknowledging that there are people who are dying, and it's because they refuse to adapt to the new paradigm, and, you know, they're taking up space. And I felt, although I understand what he was trying to communicate, I felt that was a little cavalier, because of course, to the people who die, it's a beautiful release. No matter what the circumstances, no matter how the death happens, and it's not just right now. It is like any time that we die, it is a beautiful release from the avatar that we've been occupying. But to the people who are left behind and miss those people, it is really hard. It's really hard. And it's not as simple as they, like that almost implies, although I know he didn't mean this, that almost implies that they deserve to die because they, you know, aren't up to speed with what's happening. And that's just not what I am receiving. I am receiving that there are people who are dying because death is inevitable. There are people who are dying because they want to go right now. There are people who are dying because their death, their transition, no, I have to say death because it is death. It's a leaving of this incarnation. Their death will have an impact on the people that it's meant to impact, and they were willing to do that. And some beings were ready, it's true, they didn't want to stick around and be part of this shift. But it's also true that some starseeds can die. And the reasons that starseeds would die is because they are ready, and they feel that they can do more from the other side, from the energetic side. And so I guess I feel like I need to say this because I don't want it to be perceived that it's all the like harumph-field 3D people that are going to die. It's just a little bit too, I feel like I have to do honor to all of my brothers and sisters who will die during this time. And no matter what their vibrational level is or their consciousness level is, it doesn't matter. We're all in it together. I'm reminded that in 2016, we lost Prince and David Bowie, and I can't remember who else now, but there were a bunch of people who died, a bunch of celebrities. And I remember when they died, I was like, oh, they're peacing out. Like they're like, yep, like I've done my part in getting humanity to this point, and I am ready. I don't need to be around like on the ground level to experience what's coming next. It's time for me to move into energetic form and assist in that way. And for the beings who will leave at this time, who are highly evolved in their consciousness and are already awakened, that is why. I hope nobody has any fear because I'm saying this. It's more the reason that I'm saying it is because I just think it's inaccurate to suggest that only harumph-field 3D people are gonna die, and it's because they insist on being 3D. That's partly true, but that's not the whole truth. At this time, the most powerful thing that we can all do to lead the energy of the collective through this is to center ourselves in calm and peace and love and grace and trust as much as possible. And when we feel the fear come up, to just look at it from a neutral perspective. Don't let it get a hold of you and start running your decisions. Have compassion for yourself and for others as the fear comes up, because it's fear that's been buried in our psyche and ourselves for a long time. And it's overwhelming to have it come out all at the same time like this. It's like those healing crises. You know, when somebody's like been chronically sick for a long time and they finally get themselves onto a healing regimen that's working for them, and then they have a healing crisis. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. I have, because I have these crazy food allergies. And anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. But basically, I remember researching it. I had a healing crisis one time, and it made me back off from what I was doing because I was like, I can't handle this. My whole face turned into eczema. Like, it was awful. And I researched and discovered healing crises and found that like stories of people who would have eczema erupt all over their whole body, like horrible eczema. I don't just mean itchy patches here and there, like oozing open, horrible, but they had the courage to just stick through it. And after all of those like low vibe things purged themselves, be they toxins built up from like, you know, topical steroids or other medications, or be they fears or limiting beliefs or whatever, once the body finally released all of it, then they achieved a state of incredible, impeccable health. healthier than they had ever been before. And that's very much what we're going through. We have this oozing, horrible, gaping fear coming to the surface. And if you feel that fear, be gentle with yourself. And if you are around other people who feel that fear, be gentle and compassionate with them, because the fear is valid. But as it comes up, allow it to be there, acknowledge it and look at it, connect with it, see it for what it really is, offer it love, and your apology for not an apology like, oh, I did something wrong, but it's kind of like when you're facing a fear and you start to see it for what it really is. It's an aspect of you that doesn't feel safe and feels rejected. And then you apologize and say, I'm sorry that I haven't seen you. I didn't know you were there. I haven't acknowledged you in so long. I see you now. You've been scaring me, but I understand why. I forgive you and I love you. And then you just welcome it back and like with open arms and reintegrate it into yourself, and know that in this moment you are okay. That in every moment, no matter how afraid you're feeling, you are okay. Even in our darkest moments where horrible things are happening to us, we actually are okay. There is always an aspect of us that is okay. And you are okay. And you are strong enough to feel this fear and transmute it and integrate it and clear it. And know that every time you do that, that is a powerful act of service to humanity, to the whole universe. Because just as we are all connected to each other, and whenever one person ascends, we all have the opportunity to ascend. We all ascend a little bit. It is the same for humanity has the same effect on other groups of beings in the cosmos. And Earth has the same connection with other planets and star groups, and like within our whole solar system and within our galaxy and within other galaxies. Like every time any part of us ascends, the whole ascends. The whole thing ascends beyond just this universe. We are a universe within a multiverse, and the universe ascends and the multiverse ascends, and it goes on into infinity. There is no limitation to it. Your power and your importance cannot possibly be overestimated right now. Your contribution is incredible and more far-reaching than you probably know. And it is time now to recognize your own magic. Not only are we doing this healing work, but we are also part of awakening and ascending to a new level of consciousness within ourselves and within the whole, is to also have the courage to see and embrace our own magic, which we have been deeply talked out of. Talked out is the understatement of the millennium. You are magic. I am not just saying that because it sounds nice. It does sound nice. It's a nice idea. But you are magic. You have magic in you. You can do so much more than you think you can. And your magic is needed, and it is time. I've been talking for almost 35 minutes. I feel like there's something else that I wanted to say, but it's kind of slipped my mind, so maybe it wasn't meant to come out on this episode. Well, it's not coming to me, so I guess it just wasn't meant to come out on this episode. But I will leave you with this. I think the term starseed is very interesting. And I think that my sort of unrealizingly channeling the idea of awakening like a field of wildflowers is also interesting because I didn't see the theme. But seeds are planted and they grow and they bloom. And I am receiving now that it is time for us to bloom. It is time. We have been planted here for a long time. Some of us bloomed already. Some of us were early bloomers, and those individuals were like way showers for the rest of us, letting us know that it actually is safe, no matter how scared we feel, to come out and bloom. And now it's time for us to bloom en masse. We are seeds containing the energy of the stars, the conscious energy of the stars, and it is time for us to bloom and radiate that consciousness. And every time we do that, we activate others. You know, it feels like it took me so long to get to this point where I could start sharing. And yet I've received so many messages from people thanking me for creating this podcast because it makes them feel less alone or validated or whatever it is that they feel. And I realize that, I wish I had done this a long time ago, but it also doesn't matter because I'm doing it now. And that even if my reach forever stays small, which it won't, because that's not the nature of things, but even if it did, like, you small group of listeners are everything. It's so important because we're all a web that is connected together, and I am activating you, and you are activating others, and we are spreading this beautiful light of consciousness and lucidity. And we are needed now more than ever. It is time for you to be your most authentically expressed self and to radiate it unapologetically. You are needed. You are wanted. The universe asked you to come, and you came for this. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. We are all moving through this together. And there's something beautiful on the other side. Thank you so much for being here with me through this episode. You are beautiful, magical, and powerful. You are so appreciated. Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share. And I hope to catch you on the next episode.